All right. Hello, everybody, YouTubers, Instagrammers, Facebookers, Twitterers. Happy Saturday to you all. I hope you're doing great. I'm sorry that I'm late here. I was having technical issues. Um, so I hope that this video still finds you well. And as always, regardless of when you watch it, drop some questions or comments or whatever in the chat, live chat, or in the comment section, and I will hopefully see those and get back to you. Let's see here. Anything I need to say for sure? I don't think that there's anything happening. So let's just get right into it. We left off last week with basically oh, hey Anne Marie and Maria, so nice to see you both here. I was just kind of talking about we left off last week, kind of putting some finishing touches on our mix, and I kind of would like to talk a little bit about the last things that we need to do before we release this music on whatever platform it may be. So some people, I guess before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit about this stereo out channel strip right here. So this is basically the sum of every single track in our file. So it's got everything. It's got the Vox plate, the Hall verb, the melody, the piano, everything in there is being funneled down into these two tracks. It's a stereo output, stereo bus, two bus, mix bus, a lot of different names for it. And something that is common to do is to put any final touches on this. Now there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can put your little final touches on it and then send it to someone else to get mastered, which basically means just getting another pair of ears on it in another room with different speakers, and someone saying, this has too much bass, let me carve some out, or this doesn't have enough highs on it, let me add some. It's basically the mastering engineer is just trying to get your music to translate to as many different sound systems as possible. Last week when I was kind of talking about using your telephone as a way to check your mix, use a car. If you got a car stereo, check your mix through there. Check it through your computer speakers if you can do that, or if you have Bluetooth speakers, headphones are a great way to check your mix. So basically, the mastering engineer is going to try to make your music sound as good as possible on all of those different platforms, listening platforms. So whether or not you choose to get your music mastered or not, you are dialing it back. You are going to probably want to do a little bit of a bus or two bus, mix bus processing. One of the most frequent things that will get used in mix bus processing is a compressor, and like we've got all these compressors on our single channels of audio. We've got one across all the audio, and we're using it to try to just gently glue all of our elements together, or maybe you want to try to make your mix more punchy, or there's different reasons for applying a compressor to your mix bus. And I know that that this plugin right here is not a Logic plugin, but it is a free plugin. So go visit. I think this stands for Tokyo Dawn Records, and they've also got it's like a record label, and then they've also got a plugin company that is Tokyo Dawn Labs. So just Google TDR Kotelnikov. I'm not sure if I said that correct. And this is a great free compressor. It's great for doing mix bus duties like this because it is incredibly transparent and it allows a couple of different release times on your compressor. So for the, I don't want to get too into this compressor, but it allows you a release peak time and a release RMS, which root mean squared, which means average. So the average time and then the peak time for release in terms of when your compressor is working. Just right quick, I'll demonstrate it. And it's super. Another super cool feature is that you can put it in what's called Delta mode. I hope you all can still hear that. It's probably going to be really quiet. It's just what the compressor is working with. So right now we've just got it on peak release mode, which is 60 milliseconds. And you can really hear it pumping hard. But what's cool is then you can also switch it over to this. Instead of a peak release time, you have an average release time or an RMS release time. Much more gentle. And so the trick is then kind of combine these two release times to give you the sound you're looking at. And you know that there's a you can read the manual and experiment on your own. But long story long, this is a cool free plugin that I like to use on my mix bus. Another plugin that people like to use is EQ. Right now I don't have any EQ on there just because I don't know. I don't. I like the compressor. This is all stuff that you should be applying if you want to, if you are not achieving the sonic goal that you're trying to achieve. Don't just throw this stuff on there because you heard somebody on YouTube in a YouTube video tutorial telling you to. So just really use your ears, and if you're not hearing it, don't put it on there. Let's see here. One of the plugins that will definitely be applied either by you or by the mastering engineer is something called a limiter. And it's basically just allows you to pump up the volume, and it will put it's like a hard compressor. It's like a really intense compressor. Sometimes people call it a brick wall limiter, meaning that nothing is going to get through. Logic's right here. I'm using their adaptive limiter. I'm adding 10 dB a gain, which is quite a lot, but it's where it's at. The output ceiling is what 0 is like straight up. That's as loud as you're going to get before sound starts distorting. I definitely pull it down a dB. One thing that I like about this ad limiter is it's got something called true peak detection, which means sometimes I want to say this kind of right. There's something called inter-sample peaks, and basically I think it's when you get peaks that are caught by samples adding together, and that are not always caught unless you got this little true peak detection on. I feel like true peak detection is the vocabulary that a lot of plugin companies use. Let me just check to make certain that where's their limiter? Okay, cool. True peak detection. I think that's the language that a lot of people use. Yeah. So here's Isotope's True Peak limiter, or True Peak levels, rather. For what it's worth, Isotope definitely has some great tools. If you want to if you feel like you've already maxed out what you're doing with Logic's plugins, Isotope offers some great third-party plugins. So yeah, this True Peak is really going to help you out a lot with clipping. And I back I don't know, back in the early 2000s, there was what was called the loudness war, where our ears physiologically hear something that's louder as being better. So everyone was trying to make their music as loud as possible to make it quote unquote better to the listener, so that the listener would be like, yeah, that's really powerful. That really moves me in a certain kind of way. The problem is that you really smash the heck out of music, and then you wind up distorting it a lot. We've kind of come back from the edge of that cliff when the streaming services came out, like Spotify and Amazon, because they all have their own little algorithms to limit their own music, because they all want it to come out at basically the same volume. So if you got your Spotify shuffle playlist on, it's not going to be drastic jumps in volume. So again, long story long, I'm definitely a fan of don't smash the heck out of your audio. So that's why I've got this output on my limiter set for -1 dB. And this is definitely on. And let's see here. Some limiters will have like more controls, like they will give you the controls like a compressor, like they'll give you an attack and a release and all this, that, and the other. But this is what Logic is offering. And the last thing I've got on here is just a way that you can check. It's a little analyzer. That's the word I'm looking for. So not only does it show you the register of your song, it also gives you, these are called Loudness Unit full scale. It's basically just how loud your track is. And again, I've set it to True Peak down here, True Peak and average. So peak is on the outside, average is on the inside, and then you can adjust this wherever you want it to be. It's just kind of a cool way to get more information on your track. It's visual information. And let's see here. I think that this is pretty reasonable. Maybe I'll jump it up another dB for gain. And you see it's the true peaks are -2.3 and -2. That's pretty loud. The RMS is -14, -15.2 on the right channel. So yeah, I think -14 is a totally reasonable number to have. Let's see here. I just disengaged this plugin because there's it's only serving us for visual information. Now if we want to go ahead and Logic calls it bounce. I don't know, some people call it print. But if you want to, if let's say, okay, I'm completely happy with how this sounds, just go down here, bounce. I'm also a fan of bouncing as wave files, or you can use Apple's AIFF. It's the same thing as a wave. It's just Apple brand. Or maybe not technically the same, but they're both high quality. They call them lossless, as in they're uncompressed files. If you want to save space, you can click on the MP3. And let's see here. I don't. AAC is AAC is again Apple's version of an MP3, to my understanding. So it's just like kind of the way that Wave and MP3, the Apple equivalents, are AIFF and AAC. So let's go back over here, do it in Wave. If you were going to put this onto a CD, CDs have 16-bit resolution. Bit is just how much dynamic range is available. I feel like, yeah, I did record this at 24-bit. I think 32-bit float is what Logic allows plugins to process at internally. So I'm just going to put it at 24-bit. If you do put it down to 16-bit or 8-bit for that matter, there's something that you may want to do called dither. Basically, whenever you lower the amount of dynamic range as expressed in bits, dither is going to introduce a low noise, low as in not high volume, and it's just to help it make how do I say this? It's to help the dynamics of your audio. I've looked at this. I don't know how long I've looked at dither. Definitely in the tens of hours, and it's kind of confusing. So I don't know. I would say I don't know. I'm a fan of just bouncing it at 24-bit. That's what it was recorded at. That's what I want to bounce it at. The same way that I'm going to use WAV files, because that's the highest quality. I'm going to use high quality resolution. For the sample rate, it was recorded at 44.1, 44.1K, 44,100. So that I will leave there. Let's see here. And then I think we're good to bounce. I guess you can include the audio tail. Oh, one thing that I should probably do, let's cancel all this, is I think there may be a note or a little pickup before I had my looped section here. So whenever you bounce, if this yellow bar is on, that's what Logic will bounce. So I'm going to turn it off. Turn it off. Start all the way from the beginning, and let's try this again. Bounce it. All right. WAV file 24-bit 44.1 looks good to me. Include the audio tail. I clicked that box because I'm not sure if there's an audio tail or not, so why not? Definitely want to add this jam to iTunes. Hit OK. And then where do you want to store it? I store mine in the bounces folder of the file. What do I want to call it? Let's call this YouTube Jamorama. Jamorama. All right. And date it. Keep yourself, or I learned the hard way that coming up with not dating my files would come back and bite me. So I'm a big fan of dating files. I think we're good. Bounce it. It's going to do its thing. Okay. So hopefully that was cool. Hopefully that'll help you go from having absolutely nothing written down, recorded, to getting yourself a finished piece of music. I guess to go backwards a little bit, I definitely do put 2-bus processing, mixed bus processing, stereo bus processing, whatever word you want to use. I definitely put some on, and then depending on where the music is going, I may get it mastered. If it's a piece of music that I've been working on, I'm like, yes, I'm proud of this. I am going to get it mastered. I'm going to send it to somebody else. It's worth the money to me to have a professional mastering job. If it's something that I'm just uploading is like, I don't know, something like a little commercial for Instagram or something like that, I'll do those quote unquote mastering processes myself. I guess it kind of just depends on what you want to do. One thing that I should have mentioned, let's see here, put you back here. It's sometimes a really cool idea. Actually, it's a really great idea to always put, if you think you might put a compressor on your mix bus, put it on it before you start mixing anything else. So that way you're quote unquote mixing into the compressor. And you can do the same thing with EQ. Before you even start messing with all of these channels and everything they're going to do, just put a compressor on there and give it some settings and put yourself a EQ on there if you like. And that way you can know what it's sounding like as you're mixing into it, as opposed to adding it at the end, which is what I just did, which is not a good idea. And, I broke my own rule there by adding it at the end. But you should give it a try, putting it on at the beginning of your mixing process and mixing into it. It'll help you how you hear the music and how you hear that compressor responding to it. Oh boy. Let's see here. So I guess if there's no questions or anything, I will probably call it a day. I hope that was helpful. I hope that makes sense. I feel like this past 15 weeks has been kind of like a cool little, I don't know, like a little class or something, like a little seminar. And it was the beginning to make music. From how do you make a piece of music? How do you make a song? From going to something that you're hearing into translating that and creating to something that you can then share with other people. So what you're hearing, they can then hear. So I hope this was cool. I will be back next week. I will really try and shoot for 2 p.m. Barring any technical issues. I think I'll probably for the next little unit of our lessons, I will probably get into theory. So, maybe we'll do that. Also, as always, if you are interested in doing some one-on-one sessions, I would love to work with you. I would love to help you get a better understanding or help you create some music or help you achieve some musical goals, whatever they may be. Reach out to me. We can talk about what you want to do. I offer a money back guarantee. So if you take some lessons with me, if you reach out to me, we have a conversation. I'm like, yeah, I think I can help you with that. We work on that, and it's not what you want to be. I will give you your money back, no problem. Just trying to help you achieve your goal, and that's what it is. So don't be shy about reaching out, and I hope to see you all next Saturday at 2 p.m. and have a great rest of